Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Tour Du Alpes. Stage 5 today, and this is the fourth run-in, or the fourth time slot of the race today. Now we do have a leader with a 52-minute time. I'll get the name to you in a moment, but it's going to be quite an exciting race tonight because we have majority of the main favourites taking part in this edition, whereas in previous races they've gone separately. Yeah, the current fastest time is 52 minutes and 38 seconds. But I don't expect that to stand, to be honest. I think we're going to see a 40+ minute finishing time tonight on this course. Now, John Beams, who took yesterday's stage, played an absolute blinder. He turned up with a teammate and they worked together on the course and absolutely smashed it. He took, not only did he claw back his 3 minutes on Daniel Cadiz, but he actually took out a few extra minutes as well. I mean, let's just have a look at the standings now. Yeah, John's got a 5-minute gap, 5 minute and some second gap over Daniel, and I think tactically he really hit Daniel with a hammer yesterday. It must have been quite a blow, and I watched the stream last night, all of it, and I have to say where John made his time up was on that long downhill with his teammate. I mean, they were throwing out up to 5 watt kilos on the downhills. They weren't allowing any time to recover with freewheeling. They were hammering it all the way on that downhill, and that's where the majority of the time was made up, because a solo rider, and we saw this with Krajewski trying to catch them, a solo rider can't begin to compete when 2 riders are swapping through and off. And you could clearly see in the commentary that John Beams and his teammate, the guy in second place, was not having to put in any effort. So he was able to get recovery, then take over on the front and get recovery. And that was just a brilliant master plan. Anyway, to tonight, this is going to be exciting. Expect the group to stay together on this first section. I don't think we're going to see any gaps whatsoever. If we get somebody going off the front, it's not going to hold. And in fact, John and has he got a teammate tonight, or is he doing his own thing? No, he's going for a fast start, which is not a bad thing. When you're 5 minutes up on your main competitor, why not? Why not just throw the gauntlet down? You can see that Daniel already is 30 meters behind, but this is not going to hold. John, I think all John's wanting to do is see who's got the legs tonight. And the idea will be to try and thin the group down on this section before they even hit the climbs. So a nice fast start, and you can see they've already done that. They've already managed to gap a lot of the field. We'll get a better idea when we move further down the field later in the commentary, but you can see that we've got 18 riders here now. A few are just off the back, but yeah, about 18 riders here in this group. But with 45 riders online, that's a big gap already. And like I say, I fully expect all the main contenders. I mean, you can see them all here. You've got Evan, Hedy Dam, Achem, Wouter Klaas, Rusinek, as well as John Beams and Cadiz are in this group. So all the main favourites are here. at the front. And that's pretty exciting. That's going to make for a really exciting race, I think, as we get going. And we may well see somebody like this trying to get off the front, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think, I mean, it's a fast running, is this? It's slightly downhill. It's a fast running to the start of the climbing, but then once the climbing starts, it's climbing then to the halfway point until you get the next sort of like plateau section, which you can see on screen. Then there's a series of shorter hills until you get to the final section. So not as much climbing as we've seen in the past, but enough to certainly make the guys feel it, and the girls, because they'll be tired after yesterday. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it was 2 hours for some, it was 3 hours plus for others, and it was painful just watching it, so never mind taking part. So here's Daniel now. Like I say, I think he would have been a little bit surprised to lose as much time as he did yesterday. And I just think that's down to the tactics of John. I think he played an absolute blinder and blindsided Daniel Cadiz. So let's see what Daniel's got. I'll be honest, I don't think we've seen the best of John. I think he's not going to let Daniel dictate now. Now that he's in the lead, I don't think he will. I don't think he's going to... whereas Daniel has taken like the early... well, a big lead in the early events and absolutely dictated them. I don't think that's going to happen now. Kujewski had a brilliant ride yesterday, trying to catch John Beams. And can we find the name of the other rider that was with him yesterday, his teammate? Because I just cannot remember the name. But yeah, him and his teammate worked wonders yesterday. And Kujewski was left just trying to hang on and trying to catch. Expect a good ride from Casper today as well. But here we go. There's John, just taking it nice and steady. John will pace himself, I think, on this stage, but he's not going to allow the leaders to take any time out of him. That's my reading of the situation. I mean, he can afford to lose some of his lead, but I don't think that's going to be his tactic. His tactic is going to be to limit his losses now and stay with the leaders. But look at his watts already. I mean, he's putting out 460 odd watts already on that section of the climb. So really going into the hurt zone. And Kujewski just trying to hold his wheel. And of course Daniel is going to be hurting, so he's going to want to try and prove a point here that he is the strongest. So it's pretty natural that he's pushing it off the front. But I think the others are going to have something to say about that. You know, I tried to explain this when we were doing the commentary the other day, that when a rider does eventually get beaten, it's not just what happens on the day or what happens on the night. It's a psychological effect it has as well. And I think John now has got that psychological edge. He's going to say to Daniel, look, you're not going to drop me, I'm going to stay on your wheel. But let's see how it plays out. That's just my reading of it. It's nice to see Wouter has now got a webcam on. I love to see this because it really shows us the suffering of the riders. It's also a very, very good way to verify your performances as well, and that's just as important. But yeah, Wouter's a class act, and although he's dropped a few meters here, there's a long way to go. So we've got Hedidam in front with, well, Daniel's just taken over the front, but all three of them, you've got Daniel, Hedidam and John Beams, have created a gap here, and whether they can stick it or not, I think possibly because they're having this personal battle between themselves, I think they will stick the gap. I don't see them being chased down by anybody behind, because they're having this personal battle, and that's just going to push the pace up at the front. So we'll see how it plays out. I genuinely expect it to be a race between three riders tonight, and that's Hedidam, Cadiz and John Beams. Krajewski could well have something to say. He came good towards the end of last night's stage, but has he got enough? Because if he's going to challenge, he can't allow the gap to grow too big from the three out the front. Anyway, enough of that. We're with Lee Marshall at the moment. He's been putting in solid rides the whole tour. over 300 watts here as he climbs this hairpin. Now Jerome Boo, that name does not ring a bell, and I think this is the first time I've seen him, so I think this is a new rider. Could be wrong, but I think, to me anyway, this is a new rider to the tour. I don't recall seeing him on any of the other stages. We've seen Shock before, definitely, Daniel. And Daniel could well end up catching up with his teammates ahead, and there's four of them, so maybe they can do some work together. And here's the fifth of them. I'm actually a little bit surprised to see Timo slightly off the riders in front. He's a strong rider out of Germany, and he's a lightweight as well. You can see he's only, well, he's my weight at the moment. I'm down to 62 kilos, so I know I'm very, very near my height as well. So Timo is a lightweight, and to be honest, maybe he's just finding his legs, if you're listening to me, Timo, and it looks like he is, because he's pulling back the riders in front, so maybe he's just pacing himself and finding his legs. It's always difficult early on to decide what kind of pace you're going to set yourself. You know, go too hard too early and you're going to definitely pay for it later on in the ride. And this is a long ride. It's all right, the leaders are going to be doing it in about 45 to 50 minutes, but it's going to be a long ride, and there's a lot of climbing, but there are some sections where you can actually get some recovery. So yeah, maybe giving it a good push on the steeper sections and then recovering. John Sweeney, just short of 300 watts was his high point there. A nice fast cadence though, so that'll be saving him, that'll be allowing him to save a little bit. We've been watching Lee quite a bit this last week. Your Beer Bikes ambassador from the UK, wearing the GBR jersey. And again, a nice high cadence from Lee. David Vitorino, yes, I caught him the other night, and I wasn't sure of his first name, but now I can confirm it's David Vitorino from Portugal. So you can already see that there's been a huge sorting out of the overall here. With the leaders absolutely storming away out off the front, and then the rest of the riders just left to pick up the pieces. I don't know who this wheel sucker is. I wish we knew his real name. He's a rider, and I don't even recognise the flag. So if somebody can fill me in on who this rider is in the comments, please. But no, I don't know who he is, and he's obviously having a say in what's happening up the front, and that could sort of like spoil the party a little bit. So it would be nice to find out just who this is. I'm just going to turn on the there we go, so I can see the chat. But John Beams is looking strong, isn't he? Look at him out front, looking strong. But you know, it's not just about looking strong. John will be full of confidence, chock full of confidence, and that counts for a lot. I mean, that can count for another 30-40 watts. You know, if your confidence is high. Yeah, I agree, Nick. Big hand to them, mate. It's been some amazing riding. I was fortunate enough to commentate earlier on in the week, and last night's stage, which I watched in full, was just immense. It was fantastic. But we've had some great racing, and it's nice to see that you know, riders who you'd sort of like discount once they're out of the top half a dozen riders have still continued to put in epic performances. And in fact, all the way down the field, we've seen battles, which has been really, really good for the series overall. So Hedidam is just easing off the front, but as I say, I don't think we'll have a sort out this early on. I think the riders are just going to be pacing themselves. They know what they can do. But we do know that Casper's strong, and because he's not a threat to the overall at this point, unless it takes a huge amount of time, they can afford to let him go. And maybe that's what they'll do. I don't know. I mean, one tactic that could be utilised by either Daniel or John Beams is to let Hedidam get a little bit of a gap and then try and jump over to him and use him as an unofficial teammate. It's nice to see Team 3R fielding another rider. As I say, I commented on Wednesday. I've only seen one other rider from Team 3R, my old team, in the tour. And that was a bit of a shame, especially with riders the caliber of Evan and people like Rob Stone. So it's nice to see Evan taking part in this event. Class rider. Peter Austin, what do we know about him? 53 years old, 75 kilos, so yeah. And Peter's an OTR rider, so a member of my team. And the aim, I explained this on Wednesday, but the aim of riders like this in the middle of the field is to, first of all, do a good personal time, but they've always got their eyes on who's in front of them on the road, who's behind them, so they'll be watching their positions, and they'll be constantly trying to gauge, can I improve my position? Do I need to drop back and join a small group, or can I jump forward and join a small group? And tactics like that are constantly going through your head. And it's like Simmons here, another OTR rider. He will try, I mean, he will use Peter's wheel in front as sort of like a guide, and he'll try to hold on, but it sometimes happens that you just don't have it. You just, that even if it's your teammate, you just cannot match the power they're putting out or the speed they're putting out. But that's the aim. The aim is to try and stay together and work together. But it doesn't always play out, because especially when it's climbing, if it's it would be a lot easier if it was rolling terrain or if it was flat terrain. But when it comes to climbs, you generally find that most riders will want to go at their own pace. They won't want to be dictated by another rider. They want to go at their own pace, find their own cadence, find their own level that they're happy with. As we see Cavelius again. Nathan Wesselake is putting in good wattage. 162 heart rate, so he's working pretty decently. But again, I'll reiterate the point, heart rate doesn't always tell the story, because you don't know the full detail. You don't know the full rider weight or the rider height and anything, and you don't know their history. If they're a very, very fit athlete, or they come from a background where they've specifically trained the heart rates, then it could well be pretty low for the effort they're putting in. So you can't always use heart rate as a guide, but I do like to see heart rate monitors. And I think this is our first female on the road. Is it female? As we cut back to Hedidam, who has now got 120 meter gap, so he's away. Daniel following on close behind, but you can see that Daniel, Wheelsucker and John are all pretty close together. It's only Hedidam who's now putting in a above threshold effort. You can see his figures going red to try and stay away. But the gap is being pegged at around 120, 130 meters. Obviously, it's going to go out when he does get to the easier sections, especially when the other riders are on the rise. So don't take too much inference from the gap, swapping and changing at the moment, because really when you need to gauge the gap is when they're all on similar terrain. And this is the section. This is I think the sort of next section of climb before we get to the midpoint of the race. So it goes uphill now for a good few kilometers before we get to that green section. It's saying 5.4%, but I know it gets steeper. So it's going to kick up, and this will be where Hedidam can potentially pull out a bit more of a gap. But has he got the legs to do so? And are the guys behind just letting him go? Are they measuring their efforts? I mean, just looking at the wattage that's being put out by John, I would say that he's just measuring his effort. I don't think he's really pushing hard here. I could be doing him a disservice, but just looking at his wattage, I'd say he's comfortable. If we can get the camera on him and just have a look at his heart rate and just there we go. Let's just have a look at John's heart rate. Here we go. This is what I wanted. 168. So yeah, he's definitely working, but he hasn't gone into. I haven't seen him go into above threshold effort for quite a while now. In fact, a long while. So I think John's comfortable. I think he's just doing what he has to do. And what you have to remember, folks, is that John's very experienced, and he will know that he doesn't have to worry about wheel sucker, whoever wheel sucker is. He doesn't have to worry about heady dam at the moment, providing he keeps it within a reasonable amount of time and distance to heady dam. It's Daniel Cadiz he needs to watch, and my guess is that if Daniel tries to create a gap, John will be straight on his wheel and say, nope mate, I'm not letting you go. And case in point, here you can see Cadiz trying to just open up, and immediately John responds by going in the red and closing the gap. So it's not difficult to work out the tactics here, and that's for John just to keep a close eye on his nearest competitor. I say nearest because actually Daniel Cadiz is in third place on the general classification, but Krajewski is now some 400 meters behind the leader. So I think what we're looking at here is possibly Cadiz pulling back into second place if he can. And there's, I think, is that the halfway banner? Yes, that was the halfway banner. So the red banner you saw across the road there is the halfway banner. And so just over 9 kilometers to go. Yeah, what I was saying was that Krajewski, I think, in second place, he just has to try and hold on enough to not drop a lot of time to Daniel Cadiz, and he will maintain his second place. But that will be, I think that will be the aim of Daniel, to try and claw back his second spot on GC. But I'm going to make a very bold prediction. I think now that John Beams has played his best card, and it was his best card, there's no two ways about it. I think now that he's played his best card, I think this tour is John's to lose, and I don't see him doing so. I think his superior tactics will pay off in the next week's races. I just think he's too canny to let them go, and as you see, the rest of the riders, the chasing group, just going under the red banner. So you could see even on the road, that's a fair old gap, and they are not going to come, you know, I'm saying a fair old gap, it's only 300 meters, but that's not going to come back, because these fellows out the front are pushing on, as we see Wheel Sucker closing. I wish we knew who it was, and I don't necessarily like to see riders that just appear and then influence the race overall like this, unless they're actually intending on becoming a part of the competition. But we'll see. Yeah, the current fastest time, as you can see on screen, is 52 minutes and 38 seconds. Still can't remember the name of the fellow that got that time, but I'll be honest, that is going to get smashed tonight. I mean, you have this middle section now, so the riding is actually going to get faster, and with just 8 kilometers remaining, 27 minutes, so not. Yeah, I think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see a sub 50, as I said earlier. And that's doing no disservice to the current fastest time at all. It's just because they're fighting it out. That's my take on it. Yeah, Headedam's, I agree with you, James. He is, and that's why I think John's letting him go. All John has to worry about is where his caddy is. Where's Caddy's going to finish? And he just has to make sure he finishes either in front of him or at the side of him, or he can afford to lose a little bit of time, but he won't want to. So my guess is that he will actually tailor his race to whatever Cadiz is doing. Yeah, you're right, James. And that will be his tactic. To be fair, that will be John's tactic for the rest of the series. I'm pretty certain of that. And it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't play another blinder by bringing along, because I had a look at the profiles and the stages coming up, and there's at least 2 of the stages that really lend themselves to working with a teammate. Really do. And you know, unless Daniel can do similar or actually make sure. I mean, the other thing I will say is that I genuinely think now that Daniel cannot afford to ride in a separate time slot. He's got to stay in the same time slot as John Beams, because he's been caught out once, and unless he goes in a different time slot with a shed load of teammates to try and pull back time, he's at a disadvantage if he's not riding with John Beams and seeing exactly what he's doing. Because I think if Daniel were to choose a different time slot, John would just do the same again. He would just, you know, okay, I'm going to grab a teammate and I'm going to do through and off again. I mean, it was just, to watch, it was just such a fantastic tactic. The way they saved time on that downhill and saved energy by taking turns, and as I say, the guy in second place, we were watching it live on screen, and the guy out front was doing 5 watt kilos, and the guy in second place was like 0.03 of a watt. It was just amazing. Sat in the wheel, recovering, and then taking over on the front, doing a spin, and then coming back behind. And it was just such brilliant tactics. Very clever. As you can see, John here, just, you know, just putting in that that effort just to stay on Daniel's wheel. But Hedidum is definitely going for glory. I mean, he's in the red again, look. And once again, so he's really putting in a big effort. He's trying to get rid of Wheelsucker, whoever Wheelsucker is. With 6.6 kilometers to go, so I think we're going to see very much the fastest time tonight, and possibly even lower down the field, quite a few riders coming in below the 52-minute mark, which is currently the fastest time. And these two just duking it out, Beams and Cadiz. It's wonderful to see this. This is classic racing, really is. And looking at John's camera feed, you can see mouth open, obviously getting in the air, but he looks comfortable. He looks like he knows what he's doing. He looks comfortable. Yeah, he'll be breathing heavy, there's no doubt about that. 169. So he's measuring his heart rate as well. Lovely fast cadence. Yeah, he knows exactly what he's doing. Getting that oxygen in, just measuring his effort. And it's like we saw the other day, just, you know, he won't panic, he'll just... And Daniel, you can see, has got a much lower heart rate. So Daniel, I mentioned this on Wednesday, but Daniel got a bronze medal in 2014 in his home country of Chile, in the TT Championships, and then 2 years later he improved that to a silver. So he has got some pedigree. I don't know how many contenders he was up against in his home country, but Chile can produce some pretty good riders. I just wish we knew who this fella was. If anybody in the chat can tell me who Wheelsucker is, I'd be very grateful. And what the flag is, because I don't even recognize the flag. It could be Hong Kong. I can't see it. I can't actually make it out because it's a bit of a it's a bit too small on the screen. It could be Hong Kong, I think. Not sure. As you see, these two continuing to battle it out. And now they're on the final slopes, look. So they've done what I call the easy section, although nothing is easy at this level, but they've done the easier section, and now it's all about who's got what it takes to get to the line. It's just about all uphill now. Yes, it gets slightly easier in parts, but it's all uphill now until we get to that final finishing section, and even that's uphill. So yeah, no more sort of like easy enough now. What is it? 9%. And Hedidam is just doing an amazing ride here. I mean, I take my hat off to him. He's just purely and simply gone for it. And I think what he's doing is he's taking advantage of the fact that two of his competitors, Cadiz and Beams, are just fighting it out between themselves. So Hedidam has thought, okay, I'll have some myself. I think if the battle hadn't have been going on for third and fourth place behind him, I suspect he wouldn't have been allowed to do this, or as easily as he's done it. But take nothing away from him, he's a class rider. You can see he's putting in a really good effort here. Heart rate of 160. I don't know what his maximum is, but that gives him a little bit to play with. Yeah, good ride. He goes up the steeper hairpin. But Beams, doesn't he just look so smooth? I know I hope you don't think I'm a broken record, folks, but he does. He just looks so in control now, and a lot of that is down to confidence. While there's a bit of a lull in the action, and I say a lull in the action because not much is actually happening at the moment, although John has got a 12-meter gap on Cadiz. I'll just mention some personal news, and that's that our OTR news feed, which I was doing on a daily basis, came to a bit of a standstill 2 days, well, not 2 days ago, yesterday. We had the workmen in, and I had the boiler replaced and some other work done, radiators and this, and I had hoped to get up and running with the news sections, the OTR news sections, which were proving very popular, and I had hoped to get up and running again today, but too much clearing up to do, just didn't get round to actually sorting the office out, and still haven't. So it'll be tomorrow before I get the office or the studio ready for streaming again, and that will give me the weekend. So thankfully we've no Tour Du Alpes, so that will give me the weekend, and I'll be back to normal, folks, on Monday with the pre-tour news sections, so you can all look forward to that. But getting back on topic, what I'd really recommend you do is search out on Facebook for the ZMS stream from last night and from Wednesday. I mean, I commentated on Wednesday and it was a fantastic stage, a long stage, fantastic stage. But also, yes, last night ZMS came online partway into the feed from the very early guns, and then covered it all the way to the finish. And I'd check out that if you want to see what happened and how the tour changed hands, you know, how Daniel lost his lead, because it was amazing. It was fantastic to watch. We were all cheering on as it was sort of like going on, and wondering, would John pull it off? And if you can't find the ZMS stream, head over to my channel, my YouTube channel, where you can find the full feed, the full ZMS feed of the racing. As we get another look at Botyre, out of the saddle, pumping those pedals around. 172 heart rate, so the guy's working hard. And what, 370 watts, so he's definitely putting in the effort here. But he's got Stevens, who's also his teammate, but Stevens has been riding really well this week, really strongly. John Stevens from out of the UK, and John's a tall rider, but relatively slimmed down at 67 kilos for his height. So yeah, he's I won't say he's an out climber, but he's definitely a climber. And you can see these two have got the riders in front in sight, and my guess is they'll probably try and work a little bit together and see if they can't pull back those few riders in front. So we'll keep an eye on that battle and see what happens with Botyre and Stevens in 8th and 9th. Can they improve on that? Can they catch the riders in front? And they've left behind one of their teammates, Rusinek, Jojo from Canada. And I was asking the question on Wednesday night. I'd done a little bit of rider research and been sort of like looking in Google to see what I could find out about riders, and I found a rider called Jacques Rusinek, and I asked the question, is this Jojo? Is Jacques actually Jojo? And it is. So this is a rider with a very good Palmares, I have to say. I was pretty impressed with what this fellow has been up to. Good rider. As Casper's now got a 160-meter gap, and it looks like he's settled in. He's just riding tempo now. Daniel has managed to get a bit of a gap on John, but I suspect that John will come back to him on this next climbing section. So we'll see what happens. As I say that, John is doing exactly that. He's closing the gap up. I can just see from the graphics he's closing the gap. I think actually John Beams is proving to be the stronger climber of the two of them now, which is a bit of a surprise because Daniel was head and shoulders out front. I think WS flag is Montenegro. Okay, Dave, thank you. I'll check that out. I'll have a look. I can't have a look now during the feed. I'm not going to start messing around with my browser, but I will check that out. Thank you, and have a look. It's one I certainly don't recognise, and as a cyclist that's cycled around the world, I generally can recognise flags. So yeah, but Daniel's putting in a really good effort here to try and drop John. I don't think he will, but we'll see what happens. But for me, the real loser tonight is going to be Krajewski. If we could just see how he's doing, just have a look at his figures. But I'm a little bit surprised to see Andre sort of like dropping off from this front trio, or front four actually, but he put in such a big effort last night to try and stay with the leaders, and he did a wonderful job. I mean, Andre's ride was one of the rides of the night, and we had, as I say, I watched the whole feed, and we had so many supporters cheering on Andre, willing him to catch the wheel in front, and he wasn't that far off. So perhaps he's paying for it tonight. I could be wrong, but that's my take, because Andre's a really strong rider. As we can see now, we've got Hedidem coming to the Flamme Rouge, 1 kilometre to go. It's actually showing the wrong graphic on screen, but hey, it's saying 800 metres, but that was the Flamme Rouge, which is 1 kilometre to go. Cadiz is now approaching the Flamme Rouge as well, so he is going to take back some time on John Beams. Not too much, but he's going to have what's the word? Yeah, the kudos of actually beating up on John once more. But I don't think John will be too worried. He's only going to lose a handful of seconds. Not going to lose too much. In fact, what we'll try and do is, as they go off the line, we'll try and count down the seconds and see if we can get a time. As Hedidem has got 360 metres to go, so here we go. Well, it's saying 500. Oh, of course, that was the gap. So 550 metres to go. And what I said about the time, it coming in like I said anything from 45 up to 50. Well, yeah, I think this is going to be a 47-minute ride. So yeah, so both of them have been doing other rides, James. I'd seen that. So this is pretty strong riding. as I say, I wonder about Kudowski. Has he been doing other rides as well? Because he looks tired. So here you can see this is going to be a 47-minute ride, I'm pretty sure. It's 47, yeah, it's going to be a 47-minute ride. So that's 5 minutes off the fastest time, give or take a few seconds, which is a pretty big improvement. Here we go. So let's just watch the clock as it goes. 30, 47:30, bang on. Now we don't have to count Wheelsucker, he's not part of the GC or anything, so I'm personally pleased to see he didn't take the win, but anyway, that's just a personal thing. And this is what matters. So we've got 30, 38, 9. Okay, 18. So 48, 18. Yeah, 48 seconds. 48 seconds on Cadiz. Headed and managed to gain. As John brings it home. 55. Not sure exactly how many, but I think that was about a minute, wasn't it? A minute gap. So it'll be interesting. Now, how much is Andre going to lose? He's still got 450 meters to, and the fact that Andre is not going into the red here tells me that he is tired. I think he'd be trying to claw, but I mean, yeah, he's taking it easy on this sort of like section. That tells me that he's tired. I hope I'm reading the situation right, but I think he's just tired, fatigued. I mean, he's pushing now, but yeah. I think Andre is just paying for yesterday's stage, where I think he put the best ride of all the riders in yesterday in terms of the amount of effort. I mean, obviously John won the stage wonderfully, but I think Kudowski has to be said, he did a wonderful ride. So what's the gap? We got 20, no, it wasn't anywhere near a minute. It was only, is that 20? I can't even do it. Oh, 35 seconds. 35 seconds difference, so that's fine. John can afford to lose 35 seconds. And look at Botyre here, just working for the line. Well done, what a fantastic effort. Just to claw back, and even Stevens is trying, but Botyre managed to claw back a place, so he did catch the riders in front. What a great ride. Brilliant. In fact, I think all the MR team have really pulled it out towards the end there. But Botyre obviously caught the two riders in front and went past them, as you could see on the line. I did wonder whether they would catch. It's a shame Jonathan couldn't stay with him, because Jonathan was riding with Botyre earlier on. But obviously couldn't quite stay with Botyre, who finished, what, 8 seconds in front of him? Yeah. So we're going to stick with all the riders coming over, folks, but these riders will just be trying to get a personal best time, and if, like Botyre, there's a couple of riders in front of them or a rider in front of them, that will be the goal. The goal will be to try and see if at the death they can they can overhaul another rider. And that's always the tactic when you're out of contention for the sort of like top 10 or whatever, or even the top 5. So this is shot from Germany, putting in a good effort to finish. I'm just coming up to the line now. Nice strong effort to finish, well done. Timo. 5 watt kilos, so still working really hard. As I say, I suspect Timo is an out and out climber, so maybe he's suffering from a hard day yesterday. In fact, let's be fair, if you watch the stage as I did and many others, I mean, we had a huge audience last night for that stage. I think the majority of the riders will still be feeling it in the legs. There's no way that they cannot do so, because it was brutal. It was long, it was steep. But this has been a good race tonight. I've enjoyed it. It hasn't gone exactly the way I thought it would, but it's been a good race, and well done to Daniel for overhauling John, because I didn't expect him to. I didn't expect John would let him. I mean, I know he's only gained a handful of seconds, but I didn't think John would even allow him that, so well done. It's going to be really exciting next week, folks, because as I mentioned earlier in commentary, we've got 2 stages in particular that really lend themselves. Thank you, Wouter. Good riding, mate. I'm very, very impressed with the finish that you caught them 2 riders. Well done, mate. But yeah, there's 2 stages next week, and because the riders now get 2 days off, they get Saturday and Sunday off, and then come back on Monday to continue the tour for 5 days. But there's 2 stages that really lend themselves to team tactics. If you can get a teammate or more than one teammate, you're going to do well. And I think that's going to play a part. I really do. I think that's going to either seal the win, or it's going to allow the chance to come back. And we'll see which one of the 2 it is, but I have my own feelings on this, and I am commentating as well. I think I was feeling the Queen stage. Yeah, I'm not surprised, John, but you know, amazing riding, mate. I said to the red at the end, he's really so hard to follow. Yeah. But you did what you had to do yesterday, mate. You got your tactics perfectly right. So this is going to be an exciting tour. It's going to be a very exciting finish, because there's no way Daniel is not out of it by any stretch of the imagination. So it only takes one really, really, you know, big effort to see your opponent crack. We'll see what happens. And don't forget, we have battles all the way down the field. So we've got some really good, as my mate Mr. Simmons comes in. Tony's still pushing out good wattage here, try and get this I mean, he's going into the red, look. So that's nice to see. I explained this on Wednesday. I always like to see riders that don't sort of like just, you know, I mean, he's not chasing anybody. There's nobody going to catch him. But to see a rider just put in that effort as they're coming into the finish is really nice to see. I love it, mate. It shows the commitment to the racing. They take it seriously, and yeah, well done. And this is Lee Haywood in the GBR jersey. Now he's got a rider, I think it's Paul Austin, 30 odd meters behind him trying to catch him. And what's he got to do? Oh, he's not going to catch him. Now, I think he possibly would if there was more time, but Mr. Austin is not going to catch it because it's just gone over the line. There's Peter, my teammate. So yeah, Suhad. And are there any other? Yeah, there's a couple more further down the field. You can see there's a couple of riders together, Graham and is it Wesley Lake? So they're close together, and in fact Garby, the 3R rider. So we could see a battle there. And this is something that I always look for in my commentary. Whenever I'm sort of like watching riders coming in further down the field, I have a look at the rider list and I see, okay, which riders are going to be coming close together. Here's Evan, and as you can see, Evan's out on his own, so he was in the middle. He was behind Suhad, but well in front of Cavelius. So Evan's just simply riding, you know, for his best time. He can't chase anybody at the moment, and nobody's going to catch him. Not with 600 meters to go, so. And this is his first foray into the Tour Du Alpes, so it'll be interesting to see whether Evan comes back and does a few more stages. I certainly hope he does. It'd be nice to see a larger 3R presence in the tour, because they're one of the strong teams now on 3R. Not on 3R, on RGT, and Jojo. Yes, thanks Jojo. Good ride, sir. As we watch Evan bringing it home, only a few more meters now. And then who have we got behind? I think we've got a couple of riders coming up that are pretty close. Yes, we have. We've got, look. Now, if you look down into 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th and 29th place, they're going to be duking it out between themselves, because that's a small little group. So, and, you know, they could even catch Exa in front of them if they work together. So we could have 6 or 7 riders all vying for position if they decide to fight it out. And I hope they do. It could make for, as Evan comes in, it could make for an interesting finish. So let's stay with the action, folks. Where's Cavelius in the? Yeah, Cavelius is obviously in no man's land. He's behind Evan and well in front of the man behind Exa, who I think will hold off Andy, the first of the chasing group behind. But that I think that's going to be an interesting little battle. And a big shout out to excuse me, to Damon, the ZMS boss, because we both agreed to when I'm commentating to stay with the action right to the very end, which is really nice. I like the fact that Damon supports the riders and lets us commentate, bringing every rider home. So X are going under the banner, and he's not going to get caught by the riders behind. But you can see that they're all together. 1, 2, or I don't know, 3 of them have broken away from the 2 others. So yeah, there was 5 of them initially, all together. But as we're coming closer to the finish, obviously people are putting in bigger efforts. So the gaps are, here's Xer. He's going to finish in front of Andy. There's no doubt about that. But you've got Jessen and Gabe together. They've managed to gap Veselake. So these are the 2 together, look. And are they going to fight it out? Under the 1 kilometre to go banner. And X are just finishing off 600 metres. And Andy going into the red, putting in a really big effort here. Look at this, over threshold. That's nice. An hour's riding and he's into solid over threshold effort. So well done. Mind you, Jessen's on his wheel, so he's got to work hard. You can see what I'm seeing, 3 riders in a row there, but X is going to stay ahead. He's only got 550 metres to go with 150 metre gap. So he'll bring it home. I'm waiting for you to come in, Paul, and commentate on you. Yeah, for those that don't know, Paul Nichols, my teammate from OTR, he's the guru behind these roads. So he's the one that you can curse and, yeah, spit. Especially yesterday, I bet there were some people cursing him. But no, fantastic work with these roads, Paul. I've said it before and I keep repeating it. You did a wonderful job. Very smooth, very good roads. Although I have to say, I'm glad it's ZMS that are doing the commentary, because I personally prefer the other skin than this skin. This skin, when commentating, if you're having to switch the camera around, which I like to do, it's a nightmare. There's too many trees. I mean, the ZMS get it perfectly right. I wish I had their software, because they never seem to be, the riders never seem to be hiding behind the trees like they do when I'm doing coverage on this course, on this skin rather. But really nice coverage. And there we go. 30 meters and he's over the line, and then we'll see what happens with the yeah, I think the battles that I expected behind, the riders behind have obviously realized that yes, we're coming up to the finish, and now is the time to put in an effort, and that's why they've separated. on this final bit of a climb, because if they left it till the end, they don't want to be sprinting, that's for sure. As you can see, Andy putting in a above threshold effort again. So this has been a really good finish. Well done, sir. Well done. Jessen. Now this looks like the same jersey that Wheelsucker was wearing earlier on. So I'll try and find out who that rider was. Well done, Jessen. And shortly behind him was Gabe, so he was chasing him. And then Wesley. So no battles, but there could have been. They were not far apart. As we see Graham putting in a above threshold effort. There we go, over the line. Well done, sir. Now, earlier I thought the F meant female, but obviously it doesn't. That's his category. That's his age category. So my apologies for calling you a lady earlier, sir. Obviously it's Dermot, which is a man's name, but I got slightly confused because sometimes you see an F after the name and it means female, although it should really be W, shouldn't it? Because that leaves no doubt we don't have a W category. So my mistake, but yes, well done, Mr. Doyle. And it's funny how Paul Nicholls has managed to put in a bit of a hill towards the finish of every single ride. You know, every single stage we've had that kicker of a hill just before the finish. You're a cool man, Mr. Nicholls. There we go, Doyle over the line, and here he is. Here's the man in question. I think we'll have to change his name to Cruella. Because his courses have definitely been cruel, that's for sure. But to be fair to the lad, he's riding them himself, you know, he's I think he's ridden every single stage, so not only is he creating the courses, but he's riding them as well, which is good to see. And here he is bringing it home. Well done, Paul, yes, and giving us a wave as well. Well done. And this is Miss or Mrs. Ellis coming home. So there you can see the it's showing the top 30 riders at the moment. And we've just got a few more now. How many more? 1, 2, 3. I think about another 7 riders to come home, maybe 8. So we're not going to be that long before we're finishing. I don't know exactly how far the last rider is behind. Can't quite see the graphic. Might be. We'll wait for him. Here we go. 3 kilometers, 3.5 kilometers for I think it's Anwai is the last rider on the road. This is Alyssa. Now I think I'm correct in saying that Alyssa is leading the ladies' standings. I could be wrong, but I think I might be right. I think it's Alyssa that's leading. But the ladies' competition has been fantastic as well during this tour, and we've covered it quite extensively. So they're getting, certainly on the social media, on Facebook and this lot, we're promoting the women's standings alongside all the other standings, and giving them equal coverage, which is something that doesn't happen on other platforms, folks. So kudos to RGT for that. And here we go. Very good finish. So Hansen the Dane bringing it home. Jesper, yes, I should have remembered your name, Jesper. Now, what we got? 3 kilometers to go. So we're probably looking at 1 hour 30 for the end of the broadcast, which we will stick around to, and then what we'll do is we will show you Monday's profile, so you can have a look at what the riders face on Monday. Can't exactly remember from memory what it is, but I think it's a nice introduction back into the action without being over the top. I say over the top because all these courses have been hard. But I think it's a nice one. I think it's a nice stage on Monday. And as I said, I'm almost 90%. Here we go. You see, Damon does the magic. I witter away. And what you get is you get Damon bringing up the graphic. And here you can see it's 22.7 kilometers. So a little bit over what we've done today, but a good bit more elevation at 1,124 meters. So yeah, another tester for the riders, but not over the top, I would say. And don't forget, they get Saturday and Sunday off. So that's going to be, I think, a key element to the course. All the riders, unless they're racing at the weekend, which obviously some of them will do, because like total idiots. And I mean that in a nice way, folks, when I call them idiots. You know, I mean, if it was me, I'd be saying, okay, my legs are done, I'm having a rest for the weekend. But I think what's going to happen is some of the riders will be racing at the weekend, but the ones that can rest up and recover will do well on Monday. And I think we're likely to see a very, very explosive race on Monday because of the weekend's rest. So definitely come and join me, because I'm 90% sure I'm the commentator on Monday night. Definitely come and join me, because the action is going to be fast and it's going to be furious. I'm convinced of that. After a rest, well, it's not just one rest day, 2 rest days, you're going to see the key players wanting to battle it out and see if they can get some distance. So can Daniel close the gap on Monday? Can John hold him off? It's going to play out, and it's going to be very exciting, and set the stage rather for the rest of the tour, the rest of the week, because I genuinely think Monday is going to be the day where you'll get a good idea about who's going to win this tour. Now, what does the M mean? There isn't an M class, so what does the M mean? L Claude M. I wonder what that means. Well done, Mr. Claude. Hummel from Germany. Stefan. There we go. Putting in a nice effort to finish. But you can see it's 10% here. What is 700 meters from the line, and he's going up this 10% section. So when I called Paul Nichols Cruella earlier on, you now know what I mean, because this is just insane. And this has happened almost every stage. He's stuck in, I mean, look, it's climbing. 11.7, 11.89. Is it going to go over 12? It is. You are such a cool man, Paul Nichols. And he's done this almost every stage. 12.8% with 600 meters to go. Oh, you know, way back, I was genuinely hoping that I'd been ill, and I was genuinely hoping that the doctor would sort of like say, yeah, okay, get back into the action. I'm glad I didn't. Wow. Masters. Okay, Robin, thank you. Yes, that's probably what it means. Yeah. I don't particularly use M for masters, but yes, I agree with you. Some people do. They put an M in the name for a master. Yeah. Thank you. Cruella Nichols signing out. Yeah. Thanks again, Paul. I always have a bit of a laugh with you, mate. I wonder what you're up to at the weekend. I wonder what I'm up to at the weekend, because as I say, I'm hoping to get my studio back up and running tomorrow. And then I'll no doubt try and find something to cover. But I will be doing a news broadcast show tomorrow, folks. And what we'll do is we'll cover the whole week. So it'll be a fairly long broadcast. OTR specific, of course. I'll tell you what's happening at OTR, what events we've got coming up. We'll do a recap on all the news that I covered this week, but we'll also do a recap on all the races and the positions and everything else. So please tune in. Head to my channel, my YouTube channel, which is Derek Bulcock. Just type it into YouTube, you'll find me. And while we're seeing these last riders coming in, we've got another 4 to come in. One of the things I would ask folks is, a lot of people are watching this stream. A lot of people go to my YouTube channel and watch my videos, but I'm noticing that very, very few are actually either liking or subscribing. So please, folks, can I ask that you hit the like button, because it helps my videos get higher up on the YouTube. What's the word? The thing that automatically sorts out your ranking. And if you subscribe, I was before tonight's broadcast at 161, and I'd really love to, before the end of the year, I'd love to get to 200. That's my target. I mean, I'd like to be much further than that, but if those of you that haven't subscribed can please subscribe to my channel and help me out, because I put in an awful lot of work, not just doing these kind of things for for Damon and this lot, but I put in an awful lot of work on my channel covering RGT specific races and events, and other general stuff, and it really would be nice if you could support me and we can see it grow, because as I get more experience, as I start to polish the broadcasts, then I'm really hoping in the future that we can probably do something else with it as well. I mean, if the gold standard is something like Damon's got here with his setup, and I don't think I'll ever be at that level, but it would be nice to get a bit of support. If you just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and help me grow the channel. And then obviously it encourages me and my teammates and fellow OTR members to sort of like, want to put on more content. I mean, James and Paul are the two at the moment that are sending me content for the news sections, which is a reminder to James Ogilvie, if he's listening, please send me the details as you post them to Facebook, James, rather than me having to go on Facebook and search for them, which takes me a little bit too long. So if you can post the details to me at the same time you're posting them on Facebook, that would help me enormously. Okay, but yeah, we've got a good setup at OTR, and the news section now is adding to helping folks find out what's happening. Earlier on in the week I covered things like, you know, Chris O'Hearn, who did the commentary 2 days this week. Well, Chris is helping us out at OTR to run the Tour of Dubai, where, well, it's not a tour, it's like different race elements. I think it's going to be over 5 days, and it's going to encompass crits, omnium type events, TT event. So that's going to be pretty exciting, and Chris lived out in Dubai for a while, so he knows what he's doing when it comes to the courses, which Paul Nicholls again is going to digitize for him. So there's some exciting stuff going on, and not only do we promote OTR series, but we also promote other team series. Like, you know, we've given a shout out to Vaseo Racing, we've given a shout out to SDW, as we see, is it Paul? Yes, Paul Archer coming up to the Flamme Rouge. Well done, Paul. Not far to go, but don't forget you've got this 12% section coming up. You won't thank me for telling you, but yeah. So just save something in those legs, and then you can curse Paul Nicholls later. But yeah, we've got a good show going, and our aim is, if other teams or other event organisers want to send us the details, we'll give them a shout out, and we'll even put graphics up on screen. You know, that's what I did this week. So if you have got an event you want promoting, get the details to James or to Paul Nicholls or myself, and we'll give you a shout out. I'm really looking forward to Monday and doing another stint in the commentary. I have to say, Damon has been so helpful, and I've really enjoyed doing this. And I do think the way it all works and the way it all fits together with the action and everything else, and being able to switch around the way this feed does, I think it works very, very nicely. And the graphics coming up on screen, as you can see at the moment, you know, showing the winners and the times and everything. We've got the top 10 on screen at the moment. Oh, top 20 on screen. Here we go. So everybody gets a shout out, and because it's a personal thing, but I hang around until the very last riders come home. So every rider gets their moment of glory, so to speak. I mean, I know they're not looking for it, but you can't tell me it isn't nice when, you know, you're at the very, very back of the field, and yet you're still being given that shout out, and you're still being given that screen time, bringing it home. And I think it's the least we can do, because these riders are putting such a big effort when the race is already well and truly finished. I think they deserve it. As we see the penultimate rider, I think it's Stephen, isn't it? Stephen Elliott. Yeah, there we go, Stephen Elliott. But last rider on the road, 500 metres behind Stephen, is, I think it's Anwai. Yeah, there we go, Anwai. And Anne's doing well in the general overall as well. But obviously, I genuinely think finding it tough after yesterday's stage, and I suspect that can be said for a lot of the riders that have suffered tonight. They just, I mean, how can you get a 3-hour stage like yesterday was out of your legs? it's just, and to be asked to climb again, and like I say, that 12% section 600 meters from the line isn't going to help the legs at all. But it's just nice to see that the riders don't want to climb off the bike and call it a day. They all want to bring it home. So I don't know what you folks are doing for the weekend. Like I say, if I was fit enough, I would be racing. I'd be taking part in James Ogilvy's Flemish for Beginners series, which is capped at 3.2. So perfect for me, but I'm still not given the go-ahead to return to racing. So I will do some cycling at the weekend. Try and get back into it, and I will try and find an event or two to cover, because I'm still fine tweaking my setup, and I still got a lot of work in that department to do. I want to automate it all with my Stream Deck, and so yeah, I'm choosing events to sort of like practice with, and it invariably goes wrong sometimes. But I really enjoy doing it. I really enjoy giving back, because I'm getting a bit long in the tooth now. I've been around a long time in cycling. I've been around since e-cycling started, and I just feel like giving something back. It's really helped me, that's for sure. Cycling is like a medicine. I always feel better after I've been on the bike, or I've done some exercise. So Paul's got 260 meters, and Stephen, oh no, sorry, Paul's finished. This is Stephen with 220 meters now. And even 100 meters from the line, you can see that he's still having to climb, like, the 7+% section. So this has been a tough course for the riders, especially when you take into account what's gone before this week. I mean, I reckon every single rider will be looking forward. And you saw what John Beam said earlier. I mean, even John said that his legs were absolutely screaming at him because of yesterday. As we see Anne on this 12% section, got to really feel for the riders. I think I'd be crying. And Annie's still putting out 3 watt kilos. Amazing. A full week of riding, a full week of giving everything, and you're still able to put in a really good effort to finish with. Bring it home, lass, come on. 500 meters to go. So everybody enjoy your weekend. Those of you that can, that are in the tour and coming back on Monday, try and get a bit of recovery. Don't spend all weekend riding or racing. Try and get a bit of recovery. And let's see what transpires on Monday when we're back. Like I say, I think it's going to be key. So please join me and Damon. We'll be back live again, along with all these brave riders. I'm certain Anne will be back on Monday. And there we go. As we run down the finishing list. So that's been a good ride tonight. I've really enjoyed covering it. As Anne brings us home. Come on. There we go. Well done. And that's a wrap, folks. I think we've just got time to show you the graphic again of Monday's stage. Here we go, right on cue. What a star. So this is Monday's stage. And you can see the climbing doesn't ease. Although it does look like there's a few nice downhill sections actually. So yeah. But there's a good bit of climbing as well. That's what we've got to look forward to, and I think it's going to be a key stage in the whole tour because of the rest days. So please join us on Monday after having a really good weekend, folks. Take care, stay safe, and that's a wrap. I'll see you unless you join me for the weekend.